Okay, I'm live. And this evening, well, I've already tried a new attempt in trying to push out some form of notification to you folks. Because I got to tell you, I recognize and realize, as you folks probably realize yourselves, YouTube doesn't do that for me. So, what I tried tonight or this evening is to do a community post. I'm going to see how that works out. Hopefully, at least a few of the people who are subscribed to my channel and have checked the notification box, hopefully, at least a few of them get a notification. Because that is a big issue. That is a really big ongoing issue that I've had with YouTube. And there's a few things that I've been contemplating and possibly even changing up when it comes to YouTube. And of course, trying to slowly transition or at least try to put myself on multiple platforms, some of these more free speech type platforms, such as Rumble or Odyssey. And of course, Locals, which I guess they're kind of Rumble and Locals is pretty much merged at this point. Hey, what's going on there? Coffee House Theology. Hello, how you doing this evening? Well, at least I know somebody got notified. Of course, I put this up, what was it, yesterday or earlier today? I tried to give lots of notifications because, like I say, I recognize not many people do actually get notified on my live streams. And another thing I tried this evening as well is doing a later live stream. So this one is happening at 8 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock Eastern. Hopefully, and due to the topic, let's talk about the ideological war among conservatives. I figured, there's a lot of people who at least identify as conservative on the West Coast and I would say are conservatives. So I figured, what? Let's try to do this one a little bit later, and hopefully maybe some of those fine folks on the West Coast will be able to join us in the stream. Either way, hopefully they'll be able to get a chance to watch it after this. Well, if they ever get the notification, or if the fine folks who do get to watch this help by sharing it around, because that's another way. That's another potential way to get my videos and my live streams and content out there is by sharing them. Sharing is caring. Anyways, before I get to the topic at hand, I will point out that I read this book. I forgot to mention this actually before, and I read this book, and I got to tell you, it's a great book. It's by Viktor Frankl. The name of it is Man's Search for Meaning, and it's basically this gentleman was a psychiatrist or psychologist. I believe he was a psychiatrist, or was that after he got out of the concentration camps? Anyways, him and his wife both, but they were placed in separate concentration camps, ripped apart from each other. And it's the story of his time and the things he endured while in the concentration camps. And I got to tell you, like I say, folks, when you read these kinds of stories, and this was a real person. This is a real person, and not only do you get a little bit better understanding and grasp of just how some of these things that we all wonder how could that happen in these countries. Well, first of all, let's just acknowledge right now. Well, this last almost 2 years of COVID nonsense. I mean, come on, right? Come on. We're at least seeing some early similarities. I'm not saying, we're anywhere near that point, right? But neither was Germany in, let's say, 1933, right? Or 1938. So we got to keep this stuff in mind, folks, and reading these things. And like I say, and for those of you who are feeling a little bit down or defeated, this is another great thing about this book is if a man like Viktor Frankl can endure what he had to endure in the concentration camps of Germany, well, I'm fairly certain that at least a lot of us, or most of us, should be able to handle, what we're currently going through today. So anyways, like I said, just pointed out that it's a great, great book. It's actually not even that long of a book. I believe it was only, the afterword, take away the afterword, less than 150 pages. A great 150 pages, I'll mind you, but it is great. Anyways, let's see. New. Nice name. Have you looked into Flat Earth? Nope, because to be honest with you, it doesn't affect my life in any way. So I don't really care for that stuff. Plus, I don't believe in that stuff. And I mean, for those who do, hey, you do your thing. You do your thing. But no, it's not something that has never preoccupied my time. Hey, Gato, what's going on, my friend? How you doing? Howdy doody. Wow, this is a late stream. Yeah, it is. As I was mentioning, the reason why I'm doing a late stream, due to the nature of the topic, talking about conservatives, like I say, and well, like I say, there's multiple reasons, but main reason in particular was a lot of folks on the West Coast who are conservatives or identify as conservatives. So, and this would definitely play into a lot of that stuff because, like I say, wait till I get to the article and we'll clarify things a little more. But I want to give because I'm 4 hours in the difference here in New Brunswick compared to someone away on the West Coast at BC. So to give those folks a chance, right, on a Friday, at least hopefully some of them be home from work, right? That's the other thing. Even now, it's still only 4 o'clock, so some of them might not even be home from work yet. But I'm trying to at least give it so that there's more people have more opportunity because of the later aspect of doing this live stream. We'll see how it works out. I don't know, but I'm trying everything. And once again, at the same time, it also helps for anybody in different jurisdictions to see if this is maybe a better timeline to do live stream. Once again, just testing it out, see how it's going to work. But thanks for joining the stream, Gato. Healer, Elma Bay, FPV. Hello from Miracle Beach. Hello, Miracle Beach. I just love the name of that, Miracle Beach. What a beautiful place. Sounds like, anyways. 4 p.m. Healer. Oh, so you are on? Yes, so you are on the Pacific Coast. You must be out there in BC, I would assume. So yeah, so 4 p.m. here. Like I say, still probably not quite late enough for a lot of people who work, especially depending on the particular field or occupation that you have, right? But like I say, I'm trying my best here because, I mean, for me, that's the problem. For me, I could go later. I mean, I could go 10 p.m. in the evening, but then you'd be into midnight on a couple-hour live stream. Starts to get a little late for us old folks. I'm joking, not joking, kind of, in a way. But I mean, evenings are typically or usually when I spend my time kind of relaxing and unwinding. But once again, there's so many things that are taking place out there in the world that you got to try my best to try to reach out to as many people in this country as I can. So, anyways, like I said, I'm just going to give a few more minutes. And actually, while I've been talking, I kind of forgot. I should have done it now because, like I say, it seems like the only people that get notified are the ones that I try to make the notifications for. Because I did notice last stream that I had actually forgotten. I lost my train of thought and totally forgotten to post this live stream link to Facebook and Minds and those pages. And I did notice that the count was down. Now, of course, that's not an end all be all as to why or the reasoning behind it, but I do recognize at the very least, the more places that I do post it to, the better chance that someone or more people will get notified, right? Okay, so that's that. And we'll share that to the Canadian Libertarian Facebook group. By the way, as you folks know, I do have a Canadian Libertarian Facebook page, but there's also a Canadian Libertarian Facebook group that I started, and it's been slowly grown over time. Oh, shoot. I hope that, there we go. Wait a sec here. It is growing slowly, but at least it's growing. Do I have that linked on my Canadian Libertarian actual Facebook page? Probably. But if you type in Canadian Libertarian into Facebook under groups, I'm sure you'll have no problem finding it. And I got to say, even my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page continues to grow. Slowly and at a snail's pace, but it continues to grow. I'm up to 2,905 people are following that particular page. So that's good. I do have a lot of interactions. Those are the people that just follow. And then you get the ones that interact with it that don't actually click the follow or the like button. So there is quite a bit of engagement on my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page. People reach for the last 28 days, 19,956, shows I'm up 45% from last week. Post engagements, 19,672. Wow, that's really good. If the people reach were 19,956 and the post engagements, doing really good. Not huge by any stretch, but I've gained 29 page likes. So once again, like it does seem that more and more people are possibly or potentially trying to seek out those who advocate for liberty. And under the kind of situation we're dealing with today, I can completely understand that. And that's where we got to step up the plate and give the people what they're looking for. Show them by leading by example, by giving them facts, evidence, and real science, right? Real science to help them. Okay, let's see what got those. We are starting to have vaccine mandates in the labs. Really? Wow. Not sure if you heard about that. Well, I haven't, but that's definitely something I could believe, especially in particular. I'm not sure if you do or not, but I mean, if you are someone that works for the federal government or even some of these provincial governments, if you're in the public sector, like that seems to be the ones they're going after first, right? Although I will say, great on the U.S. The Senate by a vote of 52 to 48 rejected Joe Biden's vaccine mandate for federal employees and contractors in the U.S. So, America, right? That's the thing for Canadians who hate on America. Like, really though? Really? I mean, they still got a lot of fight left in them, and they're doing it right. And even in the halls of justice, there's still some decent people down there, as you can see. I mean, you know, they're literally fighting, and they're doing it through the actual, like through the legislative process rather than these emergency orders. That's the problem with Canada in that section 33 or the notwithstanding clause, or oh, you have rights, but right. That's the problem with our useless constitution. Right? Sets out all these nice things, like you have all these rights and freedoms, and they are natural and inherent. But once again, the government tries to pretend that they're giving them to you in Canada, right? They've never been forthright and open and honest about that. Although it does kind of at least allude to that in the first part or description of the charter, which is your rights are God-given, rule of law, God-given, that literally, even that suggests that government doesn't grant you rights. But once again, Canadians have been so ill-informed by their thought leaders and their politicians and their educators that most come out of school don't even realize something as simple, something as basic as, your rights are inherent and inalienable. Yeah, which means the government don't grant them and they can't take them away. The only thing a government can take away is a privilege, right? So, and rights, freedom, not to be a subject, serf, or slave to any ruler. That's pretty natural, right? Pretty natural. I'm sure there are people, and I've heard them argue that it's not, but kind of people are they advocating for slavery or servitude, right? So definitely not on the right side of history, and definitely won't be on the right side of the future as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, moving along, let's see what Mustang 607. Mustang, what's going on? I'm subscribing. I just stumbled onto this live chat. Awesome. That's great. And you just stumbled on it. So you did you actually get notified? Because that would have been great. But if you just stumbled on it, well, I guess that'll do as well. But I will mention, if you haven't there, Mustang, if you go right to the subscribe button, that bell icon, click on that bell icon, and if you hit the all notifications, I mean, you should be able to get all notifications. That is the way it's supposed to work, right? Or at least, that's the way it should be if you interpret the English language properly. All is all, but I don't know. Like I say, the Senate can push back against Biden, but if your employer makes a company policy, what can you do? Well, that's true. This is true. You're 100% right on that. But I would just say, if your employer is the kind of employer that wants to force and mandate a vaccine on you, right? Especially, and in particular, when the government isn't, basically putting the proverbial gun to their head to force them to do it. I don't know. I mean, it's each their own once again, folks. But if I was working for an employer and they didn't even have the excuse to use the government is forcing me to do it. My hands tied behind my back. I got to do it, right? if they don't even have that to use as a justification or excuse for trying to force a medical procedure on you, maybe not the greatest employer to work for. Maybe seek alternative employment. And I get people out there that, how dare you say that? Listen, I've worked in a dozen different places over the course of my life, probably more. Were those things difficult? Were some of the transitions difficult? Yeah. Yeah. Life is difficult. But how I get to be in the place and the mindset and who I am today and surrounded by the people I'm surrounded by is because I make those really, really difficult decisions. And I accept the fate and the consequences of doing such. And once again, this is not me even advocating that you should do that. I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying. I personally wouldn't work for an employer who just by their own choice decided they wanted to force a vaccine on me, right? Now, of course, there would probably be some possible exceptions, outlier, or extenuating circumstances where they may require that as a terms of your employment. Like I say, I can't see that in anything that I can think of, but I'm sure there'd be somebody out there. There's always somebody that can find some one-off justification for this kind of stuff. And sometimes I give them their due. Other times I just have to laugh at them. It's like, really, is that the best thing you can do in your day? Is to find some reason to be enslaved by whether it's your corporate master or your government overlord? Like, really? That's what you do, Sarah. Anyways, Gato, I do feel bad for your situation and anyone that's placed in these situations. As you know, I'm an empathetic person, and it is rough. And I do wish you and everyone else there all the best. And hopefully enough time. And we're seeing some employers out there are second guessing their decisions. I just noticed today, what was the CPIB or whatever? I don't know, whatever the fuck that is, the board, whatever, the so central planning, all these acronyms and stuff. But anyways, big government acronyms or corporate acronyms. But anyways, that a lot of employers, they're even trying desperately to increase their wages to entice people. So once they fired enough people, Gato, and if you're a competent man in your job, which I expect you probably are, you'll be in demand. In the meantime, there'll be some difficult times, but like I say, once again, it's not me telling you what to do either. But anyways, good luck with everything, my friend. Okay. Okay, let's see what else got those. The public will have to wake up, but it's going to be slow, very slow. They still trust daddy government. It's not the truth. Oh, by the way, I mentioned actually when I posted this on the social media pages that this is a guest invite live stream. So I will put it out there right now. If you send, and actually I should go check that right now, my email, that'd probably be a good idea. There might be someone right now waiting to get in on the stream. I don't know. No, I don't see anything. But as I say, I did put out there that if you want to join the live stream, of course, you wouldn't want to put your email publicly. Oh, some people may do. Some people just have like what they call it, a burner email or something, like just an extra email for just such purposes, right? Without a whole lot of private stuff on there. But like I say, if you want, you can just send a message to Canadian Libertarian BH. B is in Bennett, H is in Hunter. Right? Canadian Libertarian BH, all just small, not capitalized, right? Just regular typing, small letters, and at gmail.com. And I'll hopefully think to check on that. I'll keep it open actually so I can check on it periodically. And if you do want to join me in the live stream, then I'll send you the link through that email, and you can join me. And of course, I'll leave my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page open as well, because that's another thing. If you go through the Canadian Libertarian Facebook page through the messaging on that page, I'll actually I would probably have to. Yeah, I could still probably find that, but like I say, the email is probably the best way. Probably the best way. So if you send an email to me, I'll send you the link through the email, and you can join me in the live stream, and I'll give you ample time and opportunity to say whatever you've got to say as it pertains to the topic at hand, of course, right? Okay, let's get back over here and see what's going on. I do see a couple more people have joined, so that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Linda Woods, Vark Tech. Huh. Vark Tech. I'm not quite sure what that means, Linda. Sorry, but But thanks for joining the live stream. And if you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up and subscribing to the channel, that would be great as well. I do see my channel has slowly started back on the growth trajectory. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. Now it's going to start going backwards again. But anyways, moving on. Hello, sir. Here's a story. My little girl's 6. She just came home and said, "Can I get a COVID shot?" This little girl doesn't know anything, doesn't even know what volleyball is, kind of thing. Can I get a COVID shot? Can I get a COVID shot? Wow. I gotta tell you, Willie, little girl's 6. She just came home and said, so is it because, and once again, I hate to get into the personal stuff here, but um, is it, does she not know anything about the COVID stuff because you're trying to protect her from it? Because I kind of understand. I totally understand. Matter of fact, if I was a parent of a young child 6 years old right now, I'd want them to be so far removed of all this nonsense, right? I totally get that. But once again, if it gets to the point and she's going to school and she's hearing some crazy stuff about this COVID or this push for being vaccinated, and of course you have to do it in your own way, right? And hopefully you can find a good way to do it. But I would sit down and have a conversation with your daughter, about this stuff and give her like some of don't make it a one-sided thing either, right? If you want your daughter to respect you, and I know she's young, right? But, and I don't know, like 6 is a hard age, right? But I don't know, in the best way that you can. And maybe if you got someone in your family that can help you in this, but just try to help explain, like, throw out some positive and negatives, pros and cons, and just point out the fact that, there's a zero. Well, it was 0.1 for the longest time, but I noticed today when I was posting a couple of the charts from the Statistics Canada website as it pertains to COVID-19, that they've actually shifted that now from 0 to 11. It used to be from 0 to 19 that they would include in one category, but now it's 0 to 11 and then from 12 to 19. So, that's because of the jab, right? The COVID shot. But now it's showing 0.0 and 0.0 for both groups, both categories. So when you stretch it out, average it out enough, now I guess enough of the older people have died that the percentage rate has basically changed. That it's negligible. Even if you just say the 0.1, so let's just stick with the 0.1. If you explain to her that kids her age have, unless she has some extenuating comorbidities or something, because once again, this is where I don't know the details of the story, so you got to take that into consideration when I'm talking about this stuff. Is as long as she's a healthy young little girl. Right now, I'm not suggesting you want her to get COVID or anything, but at the same time, all these young kids who are getting COVID have a 99.9% survival rate, and like really not severe. Basically, a lot of them, most of them, the vast, vast, vast majority of them, it's just basically like a cold or the flu, right? So if you try to explain these things and bring the detail, well, I don't know, it's probably going to be hard to try to bring details here. So actually, let me apologize on that. You're not going to be able to show her charts and stuff to get her up to speed on this stuff. But I don't know, just find a way. Just find a way. I feel bad for you, but you got to find a way to try to counter some of this stuff because the kind of stuff that she's being told, right? And she needs, she needs dad. She needs you, Willie, to kind of help her out in that regard. I would imagine to give her some food for thought at the very least. And for you, to step up. You're the dad, right? Sorry, but you're the dad, right? I know if it was my little girl. I'm not saying you've been slacking in any way. Once again, not in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying that yeah, if she's coming home saying, "Can I get a shot?" I mean, could you imagine the kind of stuff and the way they're talking about that stuff as if it's something exciting? Well, I mean, I've seen posts where they got like superheroes and candy and all. They're trying to entice these kids into getting vaccines with such like, wow, right? I mean, it's not the old creepy guy in the white van, but pretty close. That's pretty nasty. It's pretty disgusting, right? To be doing that kind of stuff. But that's what we're up against. So, anyways, I wish you all the best with your daughter there, Willie. I do see Fraser. Where are we at here? Fraser McBurney. There we go. What's going on, Fraser? Thank you once again for your kind and generous donation. I really appreciate that. What once was the greatest weekend in Canada is hardly broadcast on fake news. Living in Hamilton, where the tradition of having a Grey Cup parade and having a Grey Cup party, Winnipeg or Hamilton pick. Yeah, the Grey Cup. You're right. I know that's a thing. All the things that everyone's so preoccupied, not everyone, mind you, but most people are so preoccupied and consumed with COVID and all this stuff. I'll even claim guilt to that myself, is have been putting so much of our lives on hold and on the back burner. And I actually was talking to my wife there the other night, and my son actually is, and giving them some advice, is how long can we go of putting off just living our damn lives, right? Right? As full as possible. Now, I get it. We're restricted in so many ways. There's not much we can do, but let's find those areas where we can, right? Where the restrictions don't reach out to us in those areas. And luckily for someone like myself that lives in the country, in a rural setting, there are areas and ways that we can get around some of this nonsense and this madness. And like I say, it's really important for all of us. I don't think any of us want to look back. I mean, 2 years already gone by. I don't think any of us want to look back in a few more years and say, look, I just wasted, 5 years of my life doing nothing. I can't get back. So yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And, whether it's, sports or relationships or some goals in your job, or maybe some entrepreneurial goal you had at some point in time, or a startup that you wanted to initiate. Now, I get that would be a difficult thing to do at this particular time, but we can't all put our lives on hold forever. Like that's just wrong. Or those who do, I'm fairly certain will come to regret it. But thanks once again for your donations, and yeah, great point, Fraser. Great point. Okay. A close friend is losing 4 out of 5 caregivers that he needs for home care of his adult child with massive disabilities. He's older and badly needs the help. People are dying from Mandy. This is so sad. So sad. I know. I hear it. Well, even here in New Brunswick, there was a news article that came out here. Now, it wasn't a huge number by any stretch. I think it was only like a dozen or so, or just under a dozen or something. But yeah, there's doctors in New Brunswick. And let me tell you, there's already a massive shortage of doctors in this province. Big time shortage of doctors. But now we're down another, 10, 11, 12 doctors who are fired for not being vaccinated. And these are doctors, folks, doctors, right? Real doctors, not wannabe, not ones that just play it on TV. We're talking real PhD, MD, like actual doctors losing their jobs over this stuff. And I got to tell you, even in my own personal life, I don't know if I should mention this. Actually, no, I won't bring it up. Me and my son are having a live stream on Sunday, and maybe I'll talk about that stuff as it, because I don't like to bring stuff up without, talking with the person first and stuff. But yeah, believe me when I tell you that all this stuff is having an effect on my own life. Well, yes, of course, my life, but people in my life, right? Close loved ones in my life. It's having an effect on them as well. So I feel you, and I share your care and concern. I really do. I really do. That's rough. That's rough. These teachers are telling kids they don't have to wear masks if they do this. Oh, she doesn't even know enough about this world to even say COVID shot. This is the worst. I'm hearing NB as well. Oh, are you, Willie? Okay. Wow. Man, they won't have to wear a mask. I mean, think about what the media and the ruling class has done. Like, they've done that so many times, right? Just do this. Just lock yourself in. Just be shut-ins for 15 days or 2 weeks, and everything will be okay, right? Just wear a mask. Don't be a jerk, right? It's for the greater good, right? I'm thinking of that clown that I've shared that video around a few times. But yeah, I mean, think about it. Every time they tell you, if you just do this, or hey, if you just once we do get a vaccine, once they finally come around to having vaccines, because remember, there was no vaccines for a long time, right? Well, it wasn't that long. Amazingly, they were pretty quick, actually, to be honest with you. But once the vaccines come available, all you got to do is get a vaccine, and this will all be behind us. Well, wait now. One vaccine might not be enough. You're going to have to get 2 jabs to ramp up that immune system, right? to get a better dose, you're going to have 2 jabs. Well, now we're up to, folks, and I'm sure you folks have heard about this already. And I'll, if I'm thinking of it, I'll try to put that in the link in the description of this stream too. But basically, the Pfizer CEO is now saying, nope, you need 4, folks. Not just 3, not the booster, but you're going to need 4. And I mean, come on, if you're already if you went from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to now 4 shots, you think it's really going to be done anytime soon? And as we've seen and we're all aware of, the restrictions and all this stuff, they're acting like things are worse now than they ever were, when they're clearly not, especially if you actually look at the actual charts and the timeline. That's the thing. These charts are all done and designated with particular timelines. And you can see just by looking at them, which I've shared once again today, is no. Now is not the worst it's ever been. So why are the most restrictions and impediments on our life and this constant trying to force young kids or entice them to take vaccines? And yes, it will be eventually come to force, because I've even seen some where they're talking and suggesting about having to have vaccine mandates for kids to go to school. Yeah. So it is crazy. And I feel something, I feel horrible for you, Willie. I really do. I really, really do, man. Especially when you're talking about kids. That's one thing that really gets to me. Just leave the goddamn kids alone, will you? Bad enough you got to screw with us adults and screw with us for ages on end. Well, I mean, as you folks know, especially those of you who have been following me for a long time, I've been talking about so many areas and aspects of liberty and all the things over the course of the last 10 years that governments have done to impose, infringe, to impose themselves on us unjustly, to infringe on our rights, to spy on us, to invade on our privacy, to deny our God-given, inalienable, and inherent rights, socially and economically. I mean, if you go back through my 1,300 videos or so, you'll see how many times. And you know what's crazy about that is you're always going to see. It's like no matter what, you think all the people or the masses out there. But this is once again how things are so heavily manipulated. But if I just believe based on how things are manipulated, I would believe that for the last 10 years, the majority of people, no matter what the situation, whether it's COVID, the financial crisis, the Snowden revelations about government spying and collecting all of our data illegally, unconstitutionally, even just those 3 things alone. But there is a lot more, folks. But every time something happens where it's a threat to our liberties, it seems like the overwhelming, resounding, loudest voice out there are those saying, sit down, shut up, and just take what you're given. Fuck your freedom, fuck your liberty. You should screw liberty. It's all about safety, security. And thank you, big government. Love you. No, but this is what really irks me. So I can't believe that that's actually the mindset of all Canadians, because if that's the case, we're in a whole lot of trouble, folks. But that suggests heavy manipulations of all of us. Psychological. This is psychological warfare, basically, what it is, folks. I know that sounds like it's hyperbole, or hyperbole, depending on how you want to potato, right? But no, it's not. It's legit. It is. And like I say, the evidence is out there. I alone have amassed and gathered enough evidence. Like, it's undeniable at this point. Undeniable. Yeah. Crazy young, eh? It's just crazy how the teachers are indoctrinating kids. I got her brother. I got her crazy young, eh? It's just crazy. I got her brother. Not quite sure what that meant. I got her brother, but it's just crazy. Yes, it is. It is crazy. It is crazy. And parents, that's the thing. People got to take back their power. That's what it is. They got to take back their power. Government's not going to give you these teachers. None of these people, they're not going to just willy-nilly say, okay, here, yeah, sorry, I was wrong. Even though that's what drives my mindset, my ideology. That's what my thinking. That's what comprises my mindset. They're not going to relent on that stuff until you stand up and say, you know what? No more, right? No more. And unfortunately, that too will be a difficult thing to do, but it very well is a necessity. I've talked to a lot of parents who can't wait to vaccine their kids, and all I can say is that I cannot care more about your kids than you do. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then with all these people that just want to go out and show off getting their kids vaccinated. Like, what? Even if you go and get your kid vaccinated, what in the hell is the point of you getting on there, putting that on public display? Oh, just sickening. Anyways, folks, I think I kind of had a good little chat there with you folks. But anyways, like I say, let's get to this topic at hand. Bring up the actual article. Yeah, this is something I think is quite important. So this, of course, surprise, surprise, it's a CBC article. Let me check my inbox before. Oh, wait, chat link. I think I found a black truck spatter. Huh. Engagement. Oh, perfect. All right, so I guess we're going to have someone join the live stream. Excellent. So let me bring this person in. Just give me 1 second here, folks. Copy. And we'll great. Here is the link. Okay, sent. Okay, so we are going to have someone join us here, folks. So maybe I'll hold off on. Well, no, I'll leave it up here. I will leave it up here. So, anyways, like I say, so this is the article that that I was reading the other day, and I thought, and it's another submitted opinion piece. And I thought, you know what, this is something. There's so much contained within this article that I think people points to ponder and think about. And of course, it's a CBC opinion piece. And even though this person claims to be supposedly a conservative, let me go right down to the bottom here. David Simbaluk is an Alberta farmer and blogger with a degree in psychology and a broad interest in current affairs. He was a member of the Alberta PC Party from the late 1990s to 2012 and was active in the Story Plain Constituency Association, its boards and executive committee. So this is the person that submitted this article. Now, I don't know the person, never heard of him, but it's someone who claims to be a conservative. And I got to tell you, the way this article is written, like there's definitely a lot of points to clarify here. So let's maybe just start into it here real quick. So as I say, the headline is Ideological War Between Conservative Factions Can Only Be Won at the Ballot Box. Well, I got to tell you, just first, my pushback against the headline is, if this person's a conservative, he might have been wise to watch another fellow conservative by the name of Andrew Breitbart, because I believe he was the one that coined the phrase that actually politics is downstream of culture. So no, you have to change your culture, right? I mean, if voting was how it was done, I mean, come on, we've had 3 elections in the last, 2015, 2019, 2021. So 6 years, there's been 3 elections. How's it working out for you? Not so good, is it? Even with a brand new startup party like the PPC, not 1 seat. Doesn't seem like a political solution. Even Maxime Bernier himself has lost a seat. Now, I get there were some people that showed up to vote, and it was a nice increase. I think it were up to like 4.5 to 5% of the people who showed up to vote. But if you think about that in comparison to the rest of the population, or what that even represents as a population of the entire population, because that's just the people who show up to vote, right? And the people who show up to vote, usually, what is it? There's still 40% of the country that sit on their ass and don't ever vote, right? And some of them for damn good reasons, and I understand why. So how do you get a political solution when it can only be won the ballot box? Now, in a way, I suppose, in a democracy where you have to go vote, you may have some success at the ballot box, but it's definitely not going to be until you've got your culture fixed, until you got everybody who's identifying as conservative or at least people who are. This is the thing when you're talking about this conservative stuff. Are you talking about people who actually respect individual rights or something? Because I'm really confused. As we read on, we'll find out. But if you care about rights and freedoms and liberties and all that stuff, is you got to get everybody on board. We've proven long enough. I mean, the demographics have shown long enough in this country that conservatives there's just not enough people who are whatever they want to call these progressive conservatives or whatever Canada deems a conservative. Because to be honest with you, I am completely confused what a conservative is. To be honest with you, because progressive conservative, that's an oxymoron, right? So what do you mean you're a progressive conservative? But anyways, but for those who are supposedly politically conservative in Canada, so vote for the Conservative Party, as you can see, you're outnumbered. And chances are, as the numbers increase for the people who are turning towards collectivism, which is increasing in recent years, right? As we've seen, the conservatives are getting further and further and further away every election cycle from even having the slightest chance of ever grabbing onto the reins of power ever again. So this constant infighting and bickering, I agree. The ideological war, it's a detriment to conservatives, but it's a detriment to everybody, not just to conservatives. Which is why conservatives need to get out of their own goddamn echo chambers and pretending that they're the only people who care about freedom and liberty, and stop, closing off, right? Everyone, their little collective or their little gang or group, and start, open up and expanding to other people, right? People like Maxime Bernier, who's somewhat of a conservative, but even somewhat of a libertarian. But look what they did to him. Almost half of the party at that point in time, when he was run for leadership, voted for him. I mean, actually, get down to the last ballot, it seemed like Maxime Bernier was going to win. So if you're part of the Conservative Party and you're trying to win things at the ballot box, and you're willing to throw that, 49.5% of people who would have voted for Maxime, if you're willing to throw all of them to the wolves, right, and say, yeah, you're not welcome in our party, well, good luck ever winning anything in a ballot box. I mean, how foolish can you be? Anyways, I'm not seeing. I sent the link to this gentleman. Black trucks matter. Black trucks matter. Anyways, I sent the link, but I'm not seeing anyone joining as of yet. Mass hypnosis. Yes. Hey, Elizabeth M. Thanks for joining the stream. Really appreciate that. So anyways, like I say, this whole idea, this notion, this premise that you're going to win anything in the ballot box with this kind of rhetoric. Well, let's get to the rhetoric. And then you tell me, how's this going to work out? How well is this going to work out, right? Maybe I should go into notifications. Yeah, let's just go into notifications, just in case someone sends me a message on Facebook as well. But yeah, let's get to reading a little more. Okay. The stress of the COVID crisis has brought internal party divisions to the forefront. This was submitted December 8th, like I say, by this David Simbaluk, or whatever, 2021. This column is an opinion by Alberta farmer and blogger David Simbaluk. For more information about CBC, the turmoil we are seeing with Alberta's United Conservative Party is a natural progression of the merger Jason Kenney manufactured between the Progressive Conservative PC and Wild Rose parties in 2017. Yeah, strange bedfellows, it seems. But anyways, whatever. The large ideological differences that were prevalent amongst the members of those two parties were never addressed, and now, under the stress of the pandemic, those differences are reemerging, threatening the stability of the UCP. Because of the outsized influence Alberta plays within the Conservative Party of Canada, the same dynamic is affecting the federal party as well. For the sake of clarity, I will define the two factions within the UCP as conservatives and Republicans. Yeah. Although there is some correlation to the old PC and WP wings, is not exact, and since neither of these parties exist anymore, it is not useful to refer to them by those names within the current situation, nor is it relevant to the federal conflict. Anyways, I'm just going to look here again, folks, see if no, still nobody joined. Well, that seems odd. That definitely seems odd. Okay. The conservatives within the UCP are ideologically aligned with traditional Canadian conservatism. Damn, I wish you had to give me a description of that. Seeing a role for government and society. I think you folks are already starting to see where we're going with this. I refer to the other ideological branch within the UCP as Republicans, not because they are advocating an end to the monarchy, but because their ideology draws upon the rhetoric emanating from the U.S. Republican Party. So, seeing a role for government and society kind of starting to already suggest that Republicans apparently don't advocate for government if they're the Republican Party. Okie dokie. That have been forming government. And I haven't seen it disappear under their watchful eyes, right? But anyways, the conservatives legitimately can be classified as fitting on the right side of the overused left-right spectrum, but the ideology of the Republicans is all over the place. It is a toxic brew of libertarianism and anarchism, fermented in a vat of fear, fear of change, fear of the other, fear of government, fear of being. So basically, I mean, we're already here, folks. Already think about this. This guy's trying to paint, libertarians and anarchists, right, as Republicans. Once again, and listen to the way he's talking about people that are libertarians or anarchists or even Republicans. I mean, to me, let me just say this real quick. I wish I had this person to push back against his stuff and talk to him. I'd say, well, sounds like this faction or these groups that you're talking about sounds like well, if some of them identify as Republican, some identify as libertarians, and some identify as anarchists, seems like you got a whole bunch of people with a whole variance of ideas and concepts that are all coming together. And yet, yeah, you have the where was it? How do you put it? The conservatives legitimately can be classified as I guess he's trying to suggest that our group, we're all tightly knitted, which, yeah, no doubt, but we're not letting anyone else in our sandbox, see? Right? It's like, well, there's your problem. There's your problem, which is why, once again, why you're never, ever, ever going to fulfill your goals or your dreams of aspiration of what are they even? What are they even? Maybe you should have led with that. See if we can't all get on board and supporting the same thing. That would be probably a good thing. Like, that would have been a wise way to start out, right? But nope, apparently not. Anyways, just looking once again there, folks, just to make sure not getting any notifications. I'm pretty sure, actually, if someone tries to join the stream, I'm pretty sure I actually get a audible notification. So, anyways, back to this. But the ideology of the Republicans is all over the place. It's a toxic brew of liberty. What it is we're not all clones. We're not the Borg. What part of that's the whole point of the West in recognizing and acknowledging the individual rather than the collective or the group is, sorry. You're never going to get us all to agree on everything. The only things that we really, and at the end of the day, we don't have to. Very, very, very tiny, small little list of things that we have to agree on. That's it. The rest, do your thing. Insult, deride, do whatever you want. Call me all the names you want. All we have to agree on is not to use force, violence, coercion, or theft towards each of us preemptively, right? That's it. The non-aggression principle and respecting property rights and self-ownership. Really simple. It's just, I mean, if you break it right down to self-ownership, property rights, and the non-aggression principle, it's just three very basic rules that actually most of us all learned when we were like 5 or 6 years old. And most of us grew up acting in that way and being that way, right? We didn't go around. Some of them were bullies. Some of them went and picked on people. Some of them used force as a means to an end. But the overwhelming majority of the people we grew up with didn't, right? They grew up as libertarians, as anarchists. Republicans, once again, I don't know. But anyways, and they all turned out to be really good people, or at least most of them did, right? So what's the dealie? What's the dealie here? Are you literally suggesting that the only way that you would ever accept someone into the Conservative Party or align or to align with or to vote for is if they kiss the ring or they bow their head and agree to everything that you demand of them, right? And sacrifice their own principles. Once again, principles have to matter. I still see. I listed my principles. I'm still waiting to hear this gentleman's. Because the principles would matter. There's where we can find out whether we agree or not, or how far the gap is, or how wide the gap is between us, right? Anyways, continuing on. Fermented in a vat, and that's the other thing. In a vat of fear, these libertarians, these anarchists, and even some of these so-called Republicans or whatever are up against, right, the establishment, not just in like the political class of the establishment, but the establishment in terms of the media pundits, in the corporate class, right, in the banksters, in these mega institutions, right? I mean, the freedom fighters, the liberty lovers are, like he's saying, basically a ragtag bunch of individuals, right? And they have no, that's the thing. They don't have any political power, right? They don't have the pretense of force as a means to an end, you know, government as their tool to use to beat over the head of everyone else. They're just, people like myself are just using words, right? Truth, objective, principle based arguments, reason, logic, right? Moral and ethics brought to the equation. That's all. That's all we're doing. But we're willing to do it. I personally, I would be one of these libertarians or anarchists. You can call me either one. I'll take it. I'll take it and wear that badge like with pride and honor. But yeah, I'd be one of the people, and fear of change, not at all. Not at all. I do not fear change. I like changing things up once in a while. Now, when you're talking about changing the principles from non-aggression principle, like where we don't use force or violence against people preemptively, and if you change that to we should all just go around using force or violence, yeah, that's a big change that I wouldn't be on board for. But I would suggest that liberals, NDP, I'd suggest there's quite a few people who vote for those parties or identify as those political having those political leanings. Yeah, they probably wouldn't be accepting of living in a country where everybody just goes out and use preemptive violence, theft, and force, and coercion, and all that towards each other, right? For sure, they'd have a problem with that. Fearful. Fear of the other. And that's the other thing. Fear of the other. I don't fear no man. Please stop with that nonsense. Or fear of the other. Is that? Oh, I get it. I smell this someone's trying to allude to or suggest that what? Libertarians and anarchists are what? Racist? Is that what that is? Or homophobic or Islamophobic? Or is this where he's leading with that? Sounds like it, doesn't it? Sounds like it, doesn't it? Nope, not even close. Show me where these people are. I would love for this person to point out who these libertarians and anarchists are. They're fearful of change and are have fear of the other, right? Point them out to me. That ain't, well, I won't say got any names or whatever, but yeah. Fear of government. It's not fear of government. Although that's the thing. It's like, you don't fear government. To suggest that people shouldn't, to suggest, like, could you imagine if they were in any dictatorial countries, like saying, how dare you fear government? Or when tyranny is just at the doorstep or something. Don't fear government. Government, just because it's a monopoly of force or violence that has an entire gang of enforcers and an entire military at their disposal. Yeah, why would you fear that? You're so outrageous or something. It's like, no, why would you fear a bunch of sociopaths, control freaks, right? Who have controls of the mechanisms of power and so-called authority of government. And like I say, and the power of the purse through central banks, which, yeah, central banks are an act of legislation brought to you by none other than government. So, yeah, that's definitely not an irrational fear. But I personally, I'm not that fearful of government, right? I mean, well, I shouldn't lie. To a degree, I am, but it's not like it consumes my every day or waking moment that, I have to be. Anyways, moving on past that one. So what's the next? Fear of government. Oh, and fear of being controlled. What? Once again, well, those last two, fear of government and fear of being controlled. Don't all people, or is this person saying that conservatives love them some? I think, I mean, if I read this the way this person's writing it, and if I interpret it the way I believe that he wants to put across, it's like, well, I guess conservatives, they love them some big government. Just want to cozy up them, snuggle real nice, right? Some big government. Oh, thanks, Mr. Big Government. And they're not fear of being controlled. They love being controlled. Is that what you're suggesting? The ideology is toxic to the body politic because if not actively promoting disobedience to the law, the Republicans are at least tolerant of their supporters disobeying the law for no purpose greater than the personal convenience of their supporters. when the laws are unjust, like, is this like really, has this person never read a book, even a meme? Who is this person? Right? That people, it's irrational for people to be fearful of tyrannical governments. Oh, yeah, that's really irrational. Yeah. Holy, like, come on. Like, think about the rhetoric being espoused in this article. The two factions do not speak the same political language. Well, apparently not. Apparently not. Anyways, let me see. I'm going to get back in the chat here to see what some of you folks are saying. Fraser has it right. All right, Fraser. What's Fraser got going on there? The Conservative Party is not conservative. It's more liberal than the Liberals. Well, actually, I'll even good job on that, Fraser. But I got to say, and it's just me being me, but liberals aren't even liberals. This is the problem with these terms and words that are being bantered around these days. It's people don't even no longer. It seems that people from all areas and all spectrums of the political divide or spectrum don't even know how to pick up a dictionary anymore. Like, really, because if you look at what the description of a liberal is, and there is definitions, all kinds of dictionaries that'll explain to you what a liberal is supposed to be and what a conservative is supposed to be. And what you'll recognize the minute you do and you read those descriptions, like, wait a minute, not only are conservatives not conservatives, liberals aren't liberal either. You're talking about authoritarian collectivists. That's what they are, folks. That is what they are. And that seems to be what this gentleman who wrote this article is. He's an authoritarian collectivist masquerading as a so-called conservative and wondering why not everyone's willing to jump on board. Yeah. But I get what you're saying. You're definitely partially right in that one. Makes me want to give up now. Politicians are politicians. They're not by definition patriots. Yeah, no kidding. Especially in Canada since 1951. Prove me wrong. No, you're absolutely correct, Michael LeBlanc. Absolutely correct. And they most certainly are not patriotic in any way. They'll sell the country to the highest bidder in a heartbeat. And like I say, it doesn't matter which party they are. NDP, Liberal. That's why I call them the establishment. Right? I think that's the most apt identifier for these groups other than authoritarian collectivists, but they're the establishment. They're people who have amassed so much power over the culmination of so many years. They just don't ever want to relinquish or give up those powers. And they're flailing and smashing and thrashing all about because they see the writing on the wall that their time is shrinking. The end is nigh for these folks. They can't live forever, right? And they're not going to hold on to power forever either. And now they're just in desperation mode. That's what it is as far as I'm concerned. They're just in pure desperation mode. It's time people who call themselves conservatives or want this madness to end then join the PPC. Well, I mean, I am a member of the PPC. Matter of fact, I'm a founding member of the PPC, but I definitely won't be voting for the PPC anytime. Like I say, I'll go back to the ballot box when I actually see that the culture has shifted enough to the point where it's worth my time. Because I got to tell you, folks, and that's just me. I'm not telling you what to do. You do your thing. But I'm just telling you, until I see that the culture has shifted away from authoritarian collectivism, I definitely I'm not going to spend any time. Put it this way: will not spend any time railing against or insulting or say anything negative towards the PPC and some of their members, supporters, or candidates. Not at all. Not at all. Even though I've had a little bit of a falling out with a few of them, yeah, that's water on the bridge. Right, brushed it off long ago. So I'm not going to say anything negative about them. To me, it is what it is. And of course, I do hope at some point in time, because they're definitely better than, they would definitely be head and shoulders much better than anything that we see out there on the established landscape, right? But like I say, I just don't believe that voting is going to do us one bit of good. It's like, it'd be, let's say next one, you get 10%, whatever, but it's still not going to be enough. To me, like I say, and sadly, a lot of Canadians are unfortunate. I guess they are. So we'll see and find out, but have to go through some really difficult times before they learn valuable lessons. And I don't know how long that's going to be, but I definitely think the PPC would be a good option if we were at that point. Normally, I would say I'd be voting for the Libertarian Party of Canada, but since Tim Moen has stepped down and I'm not real familiar with the new leader of the party, I'll kind of hold off on that for now. But anyways, let me just go back to the article here, folks. Okay. But I mean, once again, just think about this. So, let me go back up here again. Because got to remember what the headline was. The ideological war between conservative factions can only be won at the ballot box. So I'm still trying to get that. Figure out what he's trying to say. Ideological war can only be won. So are you saying that you should split? Conservatives should split into what? A bunch of separate parties? If that's what you're saying, and you think that's a winning strategy, right? Okay. I don't know. Pretty sure, the liberals, the NDP, the Greens, the environmentalists, right? All the collective. Pretty sure they still represent quite a substantially higher number, right? Especially if you break in Canada, it's typically what, 35% who would identify as conservative. Start breaking that down and you're down into some pretty small numbers, right? So I don't know. Still confused, but hopefully more clarity comes a little further down in the article. The conservatives believe in small but efficient government. Okay, here we go. So the conservatives believe in small but efficient government. Okay, well, are we anywhere near that? Because the conservatives, every time they've won at the ballot box or won, I mean, think about it. Harper got, what was it, a couple minorities and a majority? Even had a majority. And what did he do? Grow government almost as big and as fast as the liberals did. Matter of fact, it was Stephen Harper that introduced Bill C-51, basically, giving government legal justification and a so-called authority to spy on and snoop on Canadians and manipulate us and propagandize us and under the same pretense, we got to do it because the terrorists. Remember, we were all supposed to be scared of us. How many people are worried about terrorists now? Actually, let me bring that up. Apparently, terrorists must have all went on vacation somewhere, right? Nobody seems to be scared of terrorists anymore. Not amazing. All the media has to do is change their focus, and then the people just fall in line. Right? Oh, so crazy, so crazy. But I mean, small but efficient government. Well, when the hell have the conservatives ever even? I mean, if you go way back to the beginning of the country, but that's because when you start a country, of course, everything's small then. Hello, you're just starting the country. But what have they been doing ever since basically the beginning of the country? Well, I don't know about the beginning, but I will say within at least my lifetime, growing it to the point where look at this between them and the liberals, which have been basically the two party, right? The Libcons have been basically the duopoly in charge of Canadian politics for as long as I've been alive. And between the two of them, all they've done was grow. Big government as fast as they could. So once again, reality over rhetoric, man. Reality over rhetoric. The Republicans accept as an article of faith that there is nothing a government does that cannot be done better by private industry. Small government contrasted to no government. Well, first of all, you're talking about economics there, man. Economics there, feller. This guy, that's so weird, man. It's so weird. Is he pretending that he doesn't understand this stuff? Or is he really that? I won't use the word dumb, but woefully inadequate in terms of his understanding or grasp on these big concepts and stuff. It seems like, it almost seems like, now I won't say a small child because that'd be insulting to a small child. I'm sure a small child would do a better job at trying to articulate the thoughts much better, actually. But anyways, Republicans accept as an article of faith. Article of faith? No, there's real world evidence out there, dipshit. Sorry, folks. It's just so crazy. But evidence abound. Tons of it. Matter of fact, if you just spend some time on the internet, it's like you'd be proverbially tripping over this stuff. There's so much of it out there, right? Or even if you go to a library sometime, pick up a book. Like I say, you'd literally be tripping over, stumbling all the proof and evidence to back up the claims that, yes, of course, government is a terrible, terrible way to run the economy. Using force and violence or theft as a means to an end, yeah, it's usually a bad idea. Right? Might be good for the person that's doing the theft, like that's doing the stealing, but it always sucks ass for the one that's being stolen from, right? Wow. Like I say, small government contrast and no government. But that's not even when Republicans or even what do you call them? Big C conservative or whatever, when genuine conservatives or even Republicans talk about, they're just talking about the separation between the church and the state. I've never heard any Republicans that actually, talk about government that they're actually saying, other than people who run for the Republican Party but are libertarians, once again, like Rand Paul, maybe, but even Rand Paul, I believe, would say that there's a role for government in some capacity, right? So I don't know who are these Republicans, especially Canadian ones, because we're talking about in the Canadian context. We're not even talking about American Republicans, but who are the Canadian Republicans or so-called or conservatives that are advocating for no government? Tell me who they are, because I'd like to befriend them, to be honest with you. Really. Come my way, folks. I like these people, to be honest with you. But anyways, conservatism is skeptical that the Charter of Rights and Freedom isn't just a tool for criminals and freeloaders to avoid accountability. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's resonating, because I've known some people. Yeah. This guy, he's a big fan of the law and order conservatives. Respect the authority, respect the law. Yeah. Yeah. And and you know how crazy that stuff can get, right? But yeah, conservatism is skeptical that, really, is that what conservatism is it? Really? And freeloaders to avoid accountability. Freeloaders? Freeloaders. First of all, those libertarians and anarchists are the ones that are so much against freeloading that we don't want any wealth redistribution, forced wealth redistribution at all. Zero, zilch. So there's that. The Republicans demand that their God-given rights be respected. Well, they are. Well, they are God-given, inherent, or if you're an atheist, just call them inherent and inalienable, right? But yeah, by natural extension of being born, you're not born, right? Slavery is ended. You're not born to be a subject, serf, or slave to any ruler. Yeah, you're supposed to be a free, sovereign, autonomous human being. And just because you don't believe that you should be, which tells me a whole lot what's going on in your mind, lack of self-esteem, obviously. But yes, it's probably a good idea to want to think of yourself as not being a serf, subject, slave to any ruler. Probably good. I think that's probably a good, really healthy for the mindset of any individual, if you ask me. The conservatives are pragmatic when it comes to gun control. They do not understand the civilian desire for handguns or assault rifles. What? Conservatives don't understand the civilian desire for handguns or assault rifles. Yet, conservatives are the ones that are always talking about defending gun rights. It's conservatives are the ones that enjoy their gun rights. But this person's suggesting that, so this person is saying or suggesting that he's a conservative, but is a real big fan of gun control. Okay. Once again, folks, this is how this person is portraying. If you're a conservative, this is how they're portraying you. As an extension of their distrust of government, Republicans demand that they be allowed to own whatever gun they want. Oh, you mean actual be free? Right? I believe they should too. Anyways. If you do not believe that the police or the government can protect you or your property, or if you feel the government is the biggest threat to yourself and your property, then it's rational for you to want the ability to protect yourself. That makes total sense to me. Yeah, exactly. If you do not believe that the police or the government can protect you or your property, or if you feel the government is the biggest threat to yourself and your property, then it is rational for you to want the ability to protect yourself. Where's anything controversial about that? Well, yeah. And you know what? The police can't protect you or your property, because when a threat to your life is imminent and direct, which is when it's the most severe, right? Especially those of us who live in rural communities, but even in this big cities, even if you got a cop that's 3 minutes down the road, well, it takes what, a second or two for the bullet to leave a gun to go through you. So not even actually. So when cops are minutes away, but the threat seconds away, yeah, nobody can save you except you. And that's just a reality. That's just a fact. That's an objective fact. right? Or at least you have the potential. You might screw up yourself and not be able to protect yourself, but at least you have the option and the availability to do so, or the opportunity. So weird, right? That's what I mean. This is a weird thing for here's someone that identifies conservative and talking in this manner. It's like, what? These are the people that, and yeah, it makes sense, I guess, in some way that, and which explains to me, explains so much as to why it's like, really though. I've never identified as conservative, never would want to identify as conservative, especially in the Canadian context. What's the, I think a great expression or analogy is in the Canadian context is conservatives are liberals driving the speed limit or something, pretty much. Scared of their own shadow, more or less, I guess. The conservatives view obtaining powers of me. Okay. shit. Oh, I must have. Ay, 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 ay. I must have when I tapped that stupid mic. Crap. It's the thing when I'm reading the article, I have to click out of this actual my StreamYards. I wish there was a way for me to stay on my StreamYards page so I could see this stuff, see the chat while I'm actually reading these things. Anyways, thanks, folks. Sorry, hopefully that didn't last too long. Going to see. Hey, thank you once again for your donation, Fraser. I hope I'm back to working. The mic's working, anyways. Kickback. Jacinda Ardern was worth $800K before she became PM. She is worth $20 million. Who else has accepted kickbacks? Trudeau, Biden, Ford. Wow, huh? Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, there's just so much craziness stuff that's going on as you're pointing out there, Fraser. It is, and I mean, come on, we know how people are incentivized and evil, bad acts, things like that. They're being incentivized. Immorality are being incentivized, right? We get that. We get that. Heavily incentivized. Carol Velch, VAR. What is that? VAR. No idea what that means. No idea, but welcome to the stream, I guess. No, that was me. That was me, Gato. When I knocked that mic, I must have hit that button because, yeah, that is the mute button right on the front. So sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that. Thank you, Fraser. Really appreciate it. Where did so we lost sound 9:12, 9:15. Oh, it wasn't too awfully long. That's good. That's good. Anyways, folks, I'm going to probably try to tie this stream up in, not too much longer than an hour and a half. So let me get back to the article because there's still more to it. There's still more to it. And once again, I'll be doing a live stream on Sunday with my son, Matthew Hunter. And actually, let me, since I'm not going to see anyone join the stream, it doesn't appear. Let me bring up. Yeah, Sunday at 12 o'clock. I'll just put that, just give you a notification now. Yeah, I'm doing a live stream with my son, Matthew, at 12 o'clock on Sunday, 12 Atlantic. So that would be 11 p.m. Eastern time, which would be what, 8 Pacific time? Yeah. And it's going to be called, let me just double check on that again. Oh, darn it. Darn it. Oh, never mind. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. It's a mad, mad world. The Liberty Hunters. That's the name of it. But I'll definitely, well, I've already placed the link to it. So it's already set up. So if you want to go to my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page, you'll see, just scroll down. You'll see join us Sunday. Trying to get the notifications out there as early as I can. Trying to get more people on board to watching some of these streams, hopefully, because we've got a lot of work to do. And the work definitely requires getting a lot of Canadians up to speed and on board with understanding liberty, at least to some degree, right? Okay, this is a process that should have started in the provincial election in 2019 between the PCs and the WP, but didn't because Jason Kenney manufactured them out of existence and prevented the electorate from choosing which path to take. But that did not mean that the fundamental ideology of the two groups disappeared, and the stress of the COVID crisis has brought those divisions to the forefront. That division is not just playing out within the UCP caucus, it is playing out across the province, within constituency associations, and amongst party supporters. This conflict is also playing out within the Conservative Party of Canada. The Republicans within the ranks are angry that Aaron O'Toole moved the federal party back toward traditional conservative values. Traditional conservative values, right? So basically aligning almost entirely with the Trudeau liberals, right? But you know what? Got to tell you, in that aspect, he's being quite honest because, as I've said, and we've all known this for quite a while, is yeah, the LibCon duopoly, it's very real, folks. And this guy's even basically admitting it, right? The Republicans within the okay, they very much want the Conservative Party in Canada to become a Republican Party of Canada, embracing the rhetoric and ideology of the US Republican Party. Well, I mean, it would still be head and shoulders above, right? These progressive conservatives or liberal lights, and they're once again not even liberal lights, authoritarian collectivists, big government authoritarian collectivists, folks. That's what they are. There exists a substantial base of people in Canada who find the intellectually what? There exists a substantial base of people in Canada who find the intellectually inconsistent rhetoric of American republicanism to be very appealing. Well, this is the thing. He's talking about this. If he could actually, he's saying republicanism is basically akin to libertarianism and anarchism. So I don't know which one he's referring to. It's also confusing. But once again, of course, because this man has no principles. He's just writing a bunch of rhetoric. That's what it is. That's what journals are for, dude. Buy yourself a journal. Something. I think there's a large group of Canadians who would be willing to tolerate it if it were socially acceptable to do so, or if the only alternative was to support a socialist party. Oh, I would definitely agree with you there. I agree with you there. Jason Kenney finds himself in a difficult position now because he did not choose sides 4 years ago in the ideological war that was taking place in Alberta. Instead, he brokered a ceasefire, believing that it was the same as peace. The ceasefire is broken, and now he's taking fire from both sides, with Aaron O'Toole suffering collateral damage. Oh. Anyways, folks. Yeah, so that's the article and the ideological war. So let me see what at 12 noon Sunday, I'll be at Hamilton City Hall. Right on. Awesome. Awesome, Fraser. Good for you. Good for you, my friend. That's a great thing. And hopefully some more people will be out there joining you and supporting you, because that's really important to support each other, folks. Have a great weekend. I'll be in a blizzard blowing out roads for wealthy folks that can afford to go skiing still. Right on. And yes, fully mask and pass needed, I think, for them to go skiing. 3 a.m. start. Wow. Well, have a great weekend yourself there, Healer, Elma Bay, FPV. And I really appreciate all your help and support on the live stream, Fraser McBurney. And for all you fine folks who keep showing up to these live streams. And like I say, let's just do our best to keep getting this kind of information out and trying to build these fences, right? Rather than playing the kind of divisive politics that this gentleman is. Let's use his rhetoric to talk to maybe some people who are fellow Canadians who identify as conservatives, or no matter where they are, Republicans. Or let's see if we can't figure out if we can all agree on at least some very basic fundamental principles. Can we do that? Because I would like to have a discussion. I don't even really care for just sitting here and, I mean, covering this article is fine and all, but to be honest with you, the best way I would like to deal with this gentleman is just have a conversation with him, right? I would love to sit down and have a conversation with this, what's his name again here, this David Simbaluk. I'd like to sit down, especially if he's a farmer. I mean, come on, a farmer? You would think he can't be that bad of a guy, although some of the rhetoric, I don't know. But once again, maybe he's just having a bad day. I don't know. Sick of all maybe he's just so sick of the liberals winning all the time, right? I don't know. Could be. I know I've gone on some tirades, and thinking back and look back now, I was like, yeah, I probably could have avoided using that particular word or that particular sentence or said that particular thing. So I get it. We all make mistakes from time to time. That's what it is to be a fallible human being. But at the very least, like I say, how you get things, I think what Kenny is he just did it the wrong way. Same with the Conservative Party of Canada. They're just doing it the wrong way. But there is definitely a way to bring about not just conservatives and libertarians and Republicans and anarchists, but liberals and even a lot of other people who identify in different areas of the spectrum. Even some of those left-leaning people who might think they're socialists. Or once again, the most important thing to me is let's just set out the groundwork in terms of the principles that we all will adhere to. Because once you set out your principles, then it's just a matter of extrapolating from there what policies would actually be conducive to following with or aligning with those principles. This is the problem with the lack of principles. It's literally it's just politics all over the place. So let's get to the point. Like I say, no matter who you are or how you identify politically, is getting down to the basics first, before anything, before going on the ballot box, before we're going to be able to shift the culture. Let's just start the conversation with what are your principles, right? Can we at least start there? And what are your morals? What are your ethics? Where do we agree? Like, what areas can we find an agreement in terms of morals and ethics, right? Do you believe in using preemptive force against me, or using theft against me preemptively? I mean, if we start the conversation with you want to steal from me and you want to use force against me, well, we can't have a conversation. So that's a non-starter. But if you're at least willing to say, no, I'm not going to use force or violence or theft against you, then there's a basis. So you at least agree that we shouldn't use preemptive force as a means to an end. And once we get to that point, well, once again, we just extrapolate out from there what policies would be conducive with sticking within the confines of those principles. It's really not that difficult, folks. It's not rocket science. We don't all have to be Elon Musk here, right? We just got to get back to the basics. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to help us out the most. And that's how we're going to advance things and bring people together rather than playing this kind of division, right? Anyways, thanks for all you great folks. Have yourself a great weekend. Really appreciate everything you find folks do and supporting this channel, both economically and just being there and just helping me to spread this kind of stuff around. And I really, really do appreciate it, folks. So have a great weekend. It's Canadian Libertarian.